Here's the finished product of what we're showing you how to create in this tutorial. And you can see we click each button, it takes us to a different page in our application or our Flash website, our full Flash website. And it has nice on rollover and roll out movie clip buttons. And the entire application is run off of 7 lines of code. How you like that? Hello and welcome to another Flash building tutorial, and in this lesson we're going to demonstrate how to make your coding life easier when it comes to creating full Flash websites and navigation through your Flash websites and things of that nature. So let's go to a Flash file, Actionscript 3, create new, and I'm working in CS3 and you can be in CS4, and maybe at the end of the video I'll show you how easy it is to set it up in CS4 too. It works just the same. Okay, so on the first layer, first thing we'll do is drag out a rectangle primitive. Let's drag this up a little. And before I do that, let me set my stage. I'm going to set stage to maybe 680. And 400 is good. I'll make it look like a mini site because I'm going to fit it on the page at develop PHP, where this source file will also be. If you want to just download it free and check it out, the source file. Let's change the frame rate to 30, and that's good. Now I'm going to drag out the rectangle primitive. And I'm going to call it, let's just make that solid. I'm going to call it pages and convert it to a movie clip symbol. Right click it, convert to symbol. You can just name it pages in the library. Okay. And down here you want to give it an instance name of pages. And now what I'm going to do is show you with just a few lines of code how to make your code a little more dynamic to where you can run loops and set up your navigation that way, make life easier. So we'll have a movie clip here, then we're going to have some buttons. So drag out another rectangle. And let's just make, say we had a button menu over here. And let's give that a gradient. I like to give my buttons gradient fill. And let's transform the gradient. That's good. Go to the color palette. Make that just a right there. Beautiful. Okay. So now I'm going to convert that to a symbol, movie clip, and I'm going to call it inner button clip. Okay. And I'm going to convert that to a symbol. It's going to be a button. Just name it button in the library. And now we have button instance name home. This will be the home page button, or the first button in your menu, whatever you want it to be. And inside of it is that inner button clip, which is a movie clip symbol. And I did that on purpose. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the 3 frame states for the button symbol. And I'll show you how I'm going to do a little trick here, and it's going to make a movie clip, animated movie clip button, but you won't have to code for it. I'm going to show you guys all kind of nifty tricks in this tutorial. Okay, so I pressed F6 to make my keyframes here for all the 3 states inside of the button symbol, and on the up state I'm going to double click. Well, actually I'm just going to highlight it, that instance on stage here, and convert to symbol. I'm going to call it overclip. No, I'm going to call it upclip because that's the upstate. Upclip in the library, movie clip, okay. Double click inside of it and give it a little animation in here. Maybe out to 10 frames. Hit F6. Make a new keyframe there. And then right click the center, create motion tween. And on frame 10, no, on frame 1, let's make it, you guys will see what I'm doing at the end. You'll be like, wow, he's slick and sneaky. Okay, so we'll go to tint. Let's make it just a light blue. 20% looks good. And then here we have none. That's good. And now we'll press F6 and type in STOP, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, semicolon. We'll stop action. That way, on the upstate, it will always have this animation. And you'll see why I did that in a second. Because now we're going to go into the overstate and do something similar. Right click that. So back out in the buttons 3 stage, hit the overstate. Right click it on stage, convert to symbol, call this one overclip. Okay, double click inside of it, do the same thing, 10 frames, create motion tween, but this time it's going to go from none to a blue tint. On the other end, let's tint it the same. Put the stop action in, press F6, STOP. Okay. On the downstate, we're not even going to worry about that for now. Now we'll go back out to the main scene, and there we have our button symbol. Inside of it, it's 3 states, and then there's 2 movie clips on each up and over state. And this one is just the inner button clip, but these were specialized made movie clips with animations. And the reason why I did that, let's just control enter. See? I haven't put any code in the application yet, and I have a rollover animated movie clip button symbol. It's a little hack, but it's mine, and you can use it. See? Usually you have to code out for an over, an add event listener for an over, add event listener for out. You see, I did none of that, and I have cool animated movie clip button. Now I'm going to duplicate that button, or just make a copy of it. Press Ctrl C, highlight it, press Ctrl C, Ctrl Shift V to paste in place, drag it down, and we'll make 3 more. So we can grab those 2 by pressing Shift as we select, Ctrl C, Ctrl Shift V, slide those down into place, and 1 more. Ctrl C, Ctrl Shift V, slide it down using the arrow key here. Now let's name this one home. Let's name this one something like portfolio. Let's say this is a Flash designer's website or something, or a web designer's site, or graphic artist, or somebody who works online or something. This will be the about page. This will be the let's say photos, and this one will be contact. Usually make this one services. That'd be better. Okay. Now we have 5 button symbols there. Let's just go ahead and put them on their own layer away from the pages movie clip. So let's create a new layer. Call this one BUTTONS, buttons. This one will be pages. And the buttons are all 5. Let's Control X, grab all 5 of them. Control Shift V on the new layer. And now the Now all we have to do is structure out the pages movie clip, which is going to be really simple. I'm going to do it really basic just to show the example and how everything's going to work. But you guys can make really complex inner pages movie clip here. But you see with our buttons here, we have 5 of them and 1 movie clip here that is the pages. And now all we have to do is go inside of that, double click it, inside of the pages movie clip. Let's call this layer BG for background, short for background, which is going to be this rectangle that's here. Move this up a little. So on that layer we're not going to put anything but that background. So on top we'll make a new layer, make 3 new layers. Call one actions, call this one labels, and call this one content. And I have a tutorial that shows how to animate the a page's timeline to where it has animations if you wanted to fade in, fade out, or move from one part of the screen to the landing point on the screen, make them grow, whatever you want to make them. On the content layer, we're just going to put the word my home page, put the words my home page, static text, and center that. And you can put whatever kind of content you wanted on each one of these keyframes that would represent your pages. And they can be movie clips themselves that have animations inside of them. That's the wonder of Flash. It's beautiful. And then let's see, we can just press F6 1, 2, 3, 4 more times. That gives us 5 pages. The background layer, we'll just press F5 right here on frame 5 to extend the keyframe, or extend the frames out, not the keyframe. It doesn't make an extra keyframe, it just extends them out by pressing F5. And the labels, we'll make keyframes on that layer too by pressing F6 on each one. So that was going to be our contact page, right? We'll say contact me. This is going to be what was that? Services. And about me. And of course you would have a lot more data on your pages, right? Yeah. And this one was portfolio. Okay, now it looks like we have all the correct text or page content, and the labels, we're just going to make them the same as the button. Oops. Down here in the frame label, in the properties inspector, you put home for that first one. Here we're going to put on keyframe 2 in the labels layer, we're going to put about. No, that was portfolio. Then about. Then services. Then contact. Okay, so now our frame labels for the pages are all laid out appropriately, and they reflect the names of the buttons that are going to lead to those pages. So in the actions layer, let's just go ahead and put a stop action in all of those. Just to be sure. Let's just copy this frame, copy frames, and then right click the one we want to paste it in, paste frame. paste frame, paste frame, paste frame. Now they all have stop actions. Okay, now what we can do, everything's set up in there. Now all we have to do, let's put some text on these. So big. Align it to the left. And Control C, Control Shift V. Oh, why did you do that? Control C, Control Shift V. And this isn't the reason why I'm making my buttons static and not creating them within the loop that I'm going to show you here is because there's a lot of people that make really creative websites where the buttons are actually on stage somewhere. The person has placed the buttons on stage. The Flash website creator, I do it a lot myself, and there's a creative level you can achieve further than what what a programmer could get out of just using code. When you're using stage elements and Actionscript together, it can lead to a more creative project, I think. Let's see, so home, portfolio. So I'm going to show you how. I have a lot of other tutorials that show how to create buttons dynamically, magically out of thin air. You wouldn't have them sitting on stage here. But this one I wanted to show how to have them sitting on stage, because maybe you have a creative project where you have really random placement and random shapes for your buttons or whatever. So I just wanted to show you guys this. And so right above the buttons layer, make actions layer, just call it AS3 for Actionscript 3. And now, since everything has an instance name and it reflects a page in our pages movie clip, we can code this sucker out. Now let's press Control Enter to look at it and see what we have. And you can see right when mine comes in, the buttons fade from blue to white, and it's a little side effect of having that little movie clip button instance set up the way that I did. But it doesn't take away from the project at all. And so you have nice rollover movie clip symbols, and not even the first bit of code yet. It's beautiful. So now what I'll show you how to do is code in, I think I did it in 7 lines. I can show you in 7 lines of code how to control this whole thing. And usually you have to make add event listeners for each button, then you have to make the little functions for each button. We'll just show you how to make leaner, meaner button code for your creative Flash projects. And if you had a huge menu system with 20 buttons and more, you would almost need to have some code like this. So we'll hit that Actionscript 3 layer, the keyframe there, and press F9, open the Actions panel, and let's get these lines in here. It's not much. So let's say var, and we'll name the array, and I'm going to use an array. That way we can run a loop on the data to keep it slim, mean, and lean. So we'll put the opening bracket, close the bracket, and at the end we'll put the semicolon, and inside we'll build our array, and we're gonna have all those buttons. So, and normally with an array there would be a string and delimited by commas, and it would be button 1 blah 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 bits bits. You would have button 1, then you'd have button 2, or whatever. But since we have buttons on stage already, we're just going to refer straight to the instance name like it's an object, movie clip, or whatever, or a button symbol with an instance name, so we can just target it. Since it's there and ready, home, portfolio, about, services, and contacts. And that's that. If you had 12, you would just type them all in. And the same little bit of code, you wouldn't have to add anymore. All you'd have to add are your buttons and then the little names here separated by commas there. Now for the next line, we're going to run the for each loop. And for each loop, we'll run through each of those buttons in the array that we just made. Close that off down here, and inside the parentheses here we're going to type in var, let's call this btn clip, or you could just call it btn because they are button symbols. So btn, in, you can call it whatever you want there, in my menu array. So we'll grab this, pop it right there, and then inside we can add an event listener for each one of these buttons that's in the array and that's on stage. So we just type in btn dot add event listener. This is mouse event, dot, we can use click. We'll try click, see if that works. It should. And we'll name our function that's going to run outside of this loop on btn click, and close parentheses there and the semicolon. And now outside of this for each loop, we're going to type in function, create the function on button click now, and grab that, put it right there, and this is going to be event colon, just grab this mouse event here, pop it there. This is the mouse event, void, open the curly brace, close the curly brace, and inside here we're just going to command pages. I think that's the name of that movie clip. Pages, yes. Okay, so pages, all we have to do is say go to, and this is the last line here. It should be. Let's see if it all works. Event dot target, and this is going to be targeting each item that iterates through this for each loop, or each item that passes through this for each loop in the my menu array. And dot name, so essentially what we're saying, telling that pages movie clip here to go to and stop home, or go to and stop portfolio, or go to and stop about, or go to and stop, you get it, according to which buttons are pressed. And that's how it works. It's very simple. And so that's 7 lines of code that should run the whole website. So let's see, control enter. Look at that, it goes to each page. And so, like I said, at the website at Develop PHP, I have lessons where it shows you how to create buttons out of thin air, like a magic, And now I have a lesson that shows you how to have your creative layouts, many buttons, and you can put many more buttons here, and this 7 lines right here will run 50 buttons. Maybe if you put more buttons in the array, it might make a couple more lines here, but you get the idea. It's a nice way to add your event listeners through your in your for each loops or your for loops. You can add your event listeners, and it makes coding a lot more easy. And inside of your pages movie clip, you have as many pages as you need. You set them up, and they can be movie clip symbols here themselves on each keyframe, and inside they can have whatever you need to have inside of there, any kind of data. You can bring in external put code that will run external images into the scene, any kind of thing you want to do. But as you can see, we have 7 lines of code. We'll make an entire application for you, a nice dynamic one, to help you keep your coding for your projects a lot leaner. I have a few tutorials where I put a whole bunch of event listeners and a whole bunch of functions, but it's really not necessary if you know intermediate programming in ActionScript, or PHP is the same way. You can really just run loop code and do everything you need to do without spending heaps and gobs amounts of time programming your application. Okay, so we'll see you next lesson. I'll have this tutorial's source files up at the website at developphp.com in the flash section, where you can get at it if you want to get at the code or the source files. Okay, we'll see you guys next lesson.